Kappa Kappa Factory haven't really been able to stray too far after that initial fight they took. Getting slightly held by that other trio, but it does look like they'll end up bailing out, so that's going to give some space now for Kylie, Robin, and Timu to begin making their way out of their last position.
2,200 damage. The average amount that you needed in Storm Surge throughout the day yesterday just shows the amount of tags
This is bad.
that these trios are doing, but our number one trio, Pablo, was knocked on the ground. Shino for Doxy were able to pick him up. We know they tend to go extra aggressive off the start or their uncontested drop. As Supernova quickly rotate over to Pump Power or other surrounding areas, but without a single elimination yet and having one teammate knocked down, where did things potentially go wrong here? Our leaders of yesterday getting aggro with it once again, trading for country, but Pablo's gonna quickly get picked back up, so it looks like they have been successful here.
Unfortunate circumstance there. You can kind of just see Fredage off in the distance. He wasn't close enough to provide that support, but Pump Power getting keyed by Fredoxy's trio has been a hand-in-hand combination since yesterday, and that seems to be their intentions going through today now. But other teams that are just acquiring their surge through these bases, the big thing to really keep an eye out for today, Takata, is to see what teams are potentially looking to just start dropping on teams that they recognize as like setting up surge bases. In NA, I think we saw like a great example of teams kind of interrupting each other's like trading methods for surge strategy. And when a team's just getting pressed, it causes the entire map to shift.
Oh, this is big. Vico Venoflixi pushing off the Seti's trio. Seti's currently in second place. Taking them out this early could be detrimental to their spot on the leaderboard as they continue the pursuit. It's looking like it's in Vico Venoflixi's hands.
Yapko gonna alleviate a little bit of pressure there for Panzer, but Panzer is still trying to get close enough for Yapko to prevent Vico, but it's just Veno chopping them both out. Panzer isolated one more time, but Flixi just kind of waiting. The call to be made whether or not they want to give chase. They'll forfeit it for right now, but they've claimed Lone Wolf at this point, Takata.
That they have. To go back to the, surge basing talks, I want to point back to what Levin was saying as well. It does depend a lot on where these zones do pull. It helps greatly if it pulls towards you and you kind of are looking to make one of those bases. It gives you a lot more time to make that, do that damage. But that's also going to cause the threshold to be even higher. So for the other trios that have to make that rotate, it's a world of difficulty. Robin, Timu now have lost Kylie. They were looking like the aggressors before this, but now the tables have turned.
Robin just really hoping, holding their breath right now alongside Timu. They're not going to be spotted, but unfortunately their position is given away. Robin, now recognizing the dangers, just trying to see if they're going to be able to disengage entirely. Ivan, Ifrozi, and Artist, they might decide to give chase here. It looks like they fully understand that Surge is not going to build itself these opportunities outside, deep inside of the storm. You need to make sure that you are capitalizing on them, especially when you're a healthy trio like this. But Ivan, one more time, pressuring two separate angles here. They're just pinching in onto Timu. Timu just barely still left standing here, but it's gonna be Robin who actually is eliminated first. Still 3 eliminations now for Ifrozi, Artist, and Ivan. And that's definitely a tough break.
Good way to kick it off. We'll have to rotate the zone now. From Kappa Kappa, it is going to be a bit far, but they're good for now. Let's see a quick replay of how Ivan was able to piece up Kylie, knock him down before that kind of disengagement did come through. Korarma, Werix, and Akira day 2. See if he lives up to his name here and make something happen for a qual. They are in qualifying range, to be fair. They're quite close to that 9th place cutoff on how the leaderboard currently stands. So maybe a bit more northeast zones could help them out. But if that's not the case, a performance will do enough.
Yeah, what we're really looking for, though, is to see whether or not this major is going to confirm our first French native players to the Global Championship. I mean, it's in Lyon after all, Takada, so I know that France is definitely going to be getting loud for some of their players that are competing today. Pixie, Vanya, and Marius, though, they won out Major 2. Blade of Champion wielders still looking to just try and defend that title, but they have a lot of work cut out for them, Takada.
Oh my gosh.
That might help a bit.
That's insane.
That is a disturbing amount of healing resources. Plenty of shield, plenty of white meds. Flixie, Venovico, they're just gonna keep playing as aggressively as they did yesterday, but a big cutoff. I was looking at Pigstorm and Demas, and to now see Venovico and Flixie playing spoiler. The Polish trio, Pix and Darm, are also just getting further and further backed into a corner here. But they could still try to fight their way out of this. You never know. Third-party intervention could also start to play a part here. Flixie, Venom, Vico just trying to make sure they keep their back covered while also continuing to apply steady pressure here. They know they can take this apart, but Veno, it's going to be the challenge against Pix that he ends up losing. Fortunately for Veno, he's still got Vico and Flixie to rely on, and the supportive measures are there. They've got to be quick because Werex, Akira, Karama, they definitely overheard all that commotion.
Just with a sliver of HP, Veno was able to get picked back up. Seems like Demas, Darm, Pix want to play a bit more aggressive. They're the perfect trio to do that, but when you have to go against Vico, Veno, Flixie, that is quite literally the top competition to go against. Seti seems to still be down. Yapko, Panzer kind of waiting it out right on top of the reboot van.
They know that Ghost and Hyper likely looking to try and do the exact same thing. Want to make a reboot play, bring their trio back up and running. But Yapko and Panzer, they definitely are just trying to be cautious because they know even if they try and tackle Hyper and Ghost directly for the 2v2, it's just so likely where they're currently sitting that another trio will just roll on over and then clean up both of them. So they just got to take their time with this.
They really do. Let's look at where Akira and Karama again. I see, like, wasn't sure if they were on loot or just kind of basing up here for next zone. Yeah, they're gonna use the Supernova Academy rotate potentially, but you kind of use this to drop on top of brutal boxcars in the early games if you're playing, you know, play-ins and going for some quick aggro matches. But for now, they picked up a bit of extra loot, and they're gonna be chilling for a bit.
They might also just be looking to camp it in general to try and prevent a team that's been playing from inside of the storm from a quick rotate. But a lot of sneak methods, a lot of new strategies, but one thing that stays the same is surge basing. Because they're in EU. Pablo, though, just trying to be careful, doesn't want to...
What happened to Verdoxy?
Get fully knocked, and definitely it's seemingly an uphill battle here in Game 7 for Gina Pablo. Not sure when they ended up losing for Doxy along the way, but too many teams in the surrounding area for them to be able to look for a direct reboot just yet, and it's gonna burn so much time away from Pablo and Chino.
There's not a lot of times you kind of hope for a far zone pull, but when you're looking for a reboot and the zone pulls back onto you, it means your opponents aren't gonna leave anytime soon, so making it even more difficult to get that reboot off on for Doxy.
Trouble in the tunnel, so at Foxy Floodgate for Mappy. We saw them kind of kicking things off there at the end of Game 6 yesterday, so Game 7, it's really just about finding that spark that's going to ignite your team, really get that fire underneath them. And Frenek, Dinas, Geras, we are having the desk wishes be answered here, Takada, because this zone is continuing to pull in that northward direction. And that could pose a serious problem here for Dinas, Frenek, and Geras, notorious for playing very strongly through those south zones, but a north one could be a much different story.
We'll see how it does play out. They're currently in qualifying spot for global, so I don't think they're gonna do anything too risky to kick things off today, but it looks like Fredoxy will be rebooted back into the match. Now they have to go through a bit of a difficult rotate if Fredoxy doesn't go down. Upple cracked. Does get out though, it seems, with literally might be at 1 HP, but he's still on his feet, which is what matters.
That south side of zone, though, is going to start to get real congested real fast, and that's why Upple, Mixon, Focus, they're just trying to see if they can beat some of these other teams towards the positional advantages. Teenix V, Trulex already made their way into that south side edge of zone, and now teams having a little bit of breathing room. Put down a Dash Sprite, make sure you're fully charged up, but so many small forms of healing kind of just being littered everywhere at Takata. It's just a lot of small shield potions that players are relying on, but Up will definitely need some HP.
100%. Team that isn't and has a desperate need is Queasy, Swizzy, Mustache. We saw them dominate a lot of matches yesterday.
It's got to be the most common tongue twister, right? The Quizzy thing?
Yeah, I always say Quizzy. I keep saying Quizzy, and I don't know why. I guess Swizzy. I'm doing it again. You know, I'm going to leave that trio for now. Akira, quick pickup onto Fincheck.
It's okay. We know it's just because they work like they're one unit. With Queasy as the mastermind, but the way that Swizzy and Mustache seem like extensions, just their fragging capability is insane. And Karama, Akira, Weredex, they've got to keep trying to find some of these refreshes, and they're not the only team that's feeling a little bit pressured right now. Pablo, Chino, Fredoxy having to play for that super late reboot because of where all the traction was at. Just too many teams surrounding them for them to play for an earlier reboot on Supernova, and now they're kind of just being held by Pink, Nebs, Kyoto. We need to see a big performance as well from Pink, Nebs, and Kyoto, given that Game 7 is somewhat heading in their favor.
Ooh, Fredoxy does get cracked. Crazy stat. I knew I wasn't losing my mind yesterday when I was seeing the shots that Fredoxy was hitting with those revolvers. 5 times more damage than anyone else. As now it looks like the push might come through. Neb's doing a good job though. Trying to hold his opponents back. More than enough surge. They don't have to take the peaks here. They know if their opponents are desperate, they don't want to risk any big opening, but Chino might just force his way in. Overtaking their spot right now. As Pink and Nebs are put into a world of panic. If they end up getting focused here, it would be terrible for them.
They know Pablo, Chino, Fredoxy, they are desperate and they are willing to key the moment that they were able to get that initial knock onto Kyoto. They wanted to see if they could find even more. Pink incredibly low, but Pablo loses his shield. Pablo's gonna get knocked, and now Chino, Fredoxy left to try and see whether or not they can make a play for the revive, but Pink, Nebs, they come charging in. They don't want to allow that revive opportunity. Pablo's going to be eliminated. Chino, Fredoxy, they'll be forced to use one of their Menace grenades. And now Chino pulling back, Fredoxy pulling back. They were able to at least get a little bit assets off of the body, but that is a big loss here.
Yeah, that is so tough for Pink, Nebs, and Kiro. They were in a prime position. Zone even pulled very close to them. They had the higher ground, and now they're in the mud without a teammate. A lot lower on mats and heals. But as a duo, I got confidence they can still make something happen. When you're the best of the best on the region, you got to be able to clutch up moments like these. As now, shots are going to be continuing to come through. Nebs almost getting cracked for Doxy. Forced to pop a big.
Seems like Nebs might be trying to re-spark that conversation with Fredoxy, but Fredoxy Chino definitely winning that last exchange. Now Nebs will finally look to just play into his chug jug, but Pink and Nebs, they're definitely just cornered by the lobby. Stuck between a rock and a hard place, quite literally, as Pink continues trying to see if there's some space he can look to retreat further back to. It's just so hard to play through the low ground when you've lost your fragger. And for Doxy Chino, they are feeling that similar pressure. The lobby has taken note of what's come up short for these teams that are stuck behind in the congestion.
Okay, he's gonna go down. Red now, peeking behind, seeing he could find any opening, any players that are rotated in with not too much HP, and he might just find one. As the shots come through, a quick elimination for Fred, as he's going to use the misform to get back in zone.
There's just so many pre-existing builds cutting him off, and Fredoxy will make it back, but that was a little bit of a saving line, a little bit of silver lining here for Chino and for Doxy. They're really just trying to build up whatever placement points they can. Takata, they're just looking to extend their lead however possible.
Oh.
But trouble is on the horizon for plenty of our teams, even in the low ground. Still, Tayson and Atreus. It's looking like we're gonna see a lot of duo action in these final zones.
Yeah. Looking like duo FNCS. I did see Cammy and his full trio up on height. If they're able to hold on to it, hopefully we can see them kick off the big game here. But Gyros, Fernek, Dinas want to hold on to that qualifying spot in a great position, actually. Yapko and Panzer have played this whole game out basically without SETI. Let's see how many points they can clutch up as a duo.
Yapko and Panzer trying not to draw too much attention, but Veno, Vico, Flixie have zero intentions of letting them actually roll towards this front side low position. They're making Yapko burn through so much material, just trying to hold these walls even, but chaos on the high ground. Vanya, Pixie, Marius, they finally made their move, and Cammy, he's been eliminated. Marius gonna immediately fall right back to the high ground, and now Pixie just relentless, spraying underneath, and teams are definitely feeling that turnover of height.
I might have spoke too soon. Zone has pulled back onto mainland as Chino picks up a quick elimination onto Dinas now. Alongside for Doxy, the duo is continuing to look quite strong, but over time, I think after this rotate, if they don't get another refresh, the mats are going to be incredibly low. The good news is they pulled zone, so they can play it slow.
Convenient medkit find there too for Doxy. 3 eliminations, every little bit helps. Vanya, Marius, Pixie still strongly overhead, but there are plenty of teams that are definitely looking to take it right back from them. Swizzy, Quizzy, Merstash, Prieta nearly bringing for Doxy down all the way, but Swizzy, he sees the opportunity slip through their fingers. Same might not happen though with Nebs here. He's lurking, he's wary, he knows there's a team playing through this frontside low, but Chino, for Doxy, they're also just trying to conserve as much material as they can, hoping to pick off another straggler that's coming through, even more shambles than them. And Chino will find it in Nebs, but there's only so much that they can split between each other. Swizzy, Quizzy, now having to play through the low, and Swizzy comes up big time. Chap gonna be eliminated, but it's a short-lived victory there for Swizzy. Clean trio wipes, and Vanya, Marius, Pixie still strongly overhead.
So many duos continuing to hold on. Haris, Tayson doing a great job at it, but they ran into another duo. It's Panzer, Yapko on the other end, knocking on their doors. So far, no trouble, as now back a zone, rocks right into the Lion's Den. Tayson with another elimination. Now they're gonna have to play backside of zone.
A little bit of visual impairment off of that mid-miss grenade, still trying to make their way slightly up this elevated hill, but it's Opal, it's Mixon. They were hovering that secondary height, and now they're forced to drop all the way, lost entirely too much HP, but Chino and Fredoxy, no material now for Chino. Last charge out of their dash sprite, and they are just huddled up together, hoping that this lobby continues to carry them through placements by eliminating itself. Tayson, Atreus, secondary height, and they are stuck in between height and low, and it looks like they might be forced to just take the battle underneath them with Teeny. Big shots though. These knocks and eliminations onto TD and Cringe now gonna mean that Tayson, Atreus, they might have a real shot at carrying through the low.
Yeah, it's a huge refresh. Ritz got all of those mats. Hopefully it's enough to make a play, but Vico, Veno, Flixie looking like they want height. They see the duo up above. They know they have the advantage if they go for it. Marius getting incredibly low as they're just a couple shots away from breaking down the whole high ground. Chino, though, put into trouble, gets knocked out of the match as Vanya Marius continue to hold up above.
Prodoxy and Chino did the damage on the lobby, though. Marius, Vanya, one big difference is having that shockwave pistol to make use of, and they are causing so much disruption for the teams underneath them. Akira all the way in Storm, just looking to try and play whatever heal-off placements he can manage. Veno, Flixie, Vico. Veno taking over height. Veno's got the medallion, though. He's gonna jump. He's gonna provide a little bit of supportive measures here. Vanya has now been chopped, but Vanya doesn't have a chance to use that misform just yet. He's trying to hold on to it for as long as possible. Dropped all the way, though, to ultimate low, and Vanya dancing around, but he's been focused but all these solos kind of hanging nearby. He'll actually be able to find a chance for that make it play, but Deal also a solo with 5 eliminations in the low ground, causing so many issues, just playing spoiler, 3 HP, still rocking it, and he finds a gap to play his Chug Jug. So many of these players now looking to just opt for a heal-off opportunity here, but Flixie is tearing through. Flixie, Veno, and Vico, they are notorious for being day 2 players, and this is a big part of the reason why Takada, because Vanya, all by his lonesome, won't have any answer. Veno, Vico, and Flixie take Game 7.
Ring, ring, the cleanup crew was called in. Vico, Veno, Flixie eliminating every player that was left on the low ground. They overtook height. They finished the rest of the match off, but they wanted more than just the victory royale. They wanted those extra eliminations, that cherry on top, and they got it.
They were just playing their pre-edits so well in those frontside low positions that every single one of those solos, duos that was coming up behind them already a little bit scuffed with their loadouts, and you're just running into a relatively healthy team. They were stacked on eliminations by the end of this one too, Takada.
Oh yeah, they were looking good. Now this is a trio that you expect to be competing for that first place spot. They have the respect, they have the experience, but after day 1, they were not that close to first place. They were down in 7th going into this 7th game of the grand finals, and now with that victory royale, they're gonna have more than enough points to boost themselves up in the standings. So let's see how things change as we head back over to the desk.
Thank you very much, guys. If you cast your minds back before Game 7, I did question whether we were going to see Veno repeat the Teeny strat and go to Lone Wolf Flare because of Seti being there and that potential vulnerability that Mini might have pointed out. And then what happened in Zone 2, Mini? We saw Veno, Vico, and Flixie wander over to Lone Wolf Flare, and they capitalized at the end as well.
Yeah, really nice to see these guys finally awakening, I suppose, over these grand final games. It's nice to see the sort of... Yeah, go ahead.
No, this is so key, because right there you can see they get that refresh, zone 11, pullback. As soon as you see that pullback after the refresh, cash money, game's done, wrap it up from there. They have so much time with the loot they just pick up. They scout for height. We didn't see Veno's POV there, but Veno's instantly looking up at height. They chop it, they take it, Marius back to the lobby, go home, brother. They take height, game's done from there. We've seen these types of games from these three so many times this year. It's so readable. You see in that moment, you know exactly what they're trying to do, and they execute it perfectly. This is the Veno Vico Flixie we want to see.
Yeah, they're so good at that, aren't they? Just looking towards that front side, then looking back up towards height. I think they identified that Vanya's team were only a duo up there, so they just kept unrelenting pressure there going up on height. And then the way they close it out, absolutely perfect. I think that's 19 eliminations in that one game. Wow. Absolutely huge from these guys. And it's exactly the start they would have wanted to day 2 after a subpar day 1 for these guys' standards. It's exactly what they could have wanted.
They heard what I said yesterday about their chain getting snatched by Fredoxy's true, and they said, 11, hold on, we can frag still. Don't forget about us.
You're putting the cat amongst the pigeons here, Levin, and I'm loving it. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll be talking about the rest of Game 7.
I gave my life into my place, earned everything that I claimed. Nothing ever could replace. race, man. 3-4-3-4, square dance on the floor. This is not a ball, I'm above it all. Start, I see my glow up, where you supposed to go? Proceed on the low, can't lose and find the go. Leave me in the zone, I take your mind and then I snatch your soul. Turn up the track, going deep.